Hi, Calonda. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for joining with me today to talk a little bit about your experiences working with me through Success Without Sacrifice. Do you want to just take a moment to share a bit about who you are and where you're from and what you do?
Yes, so my name is Calonda and I am from Florida. My practice is Broad Horizon Speech Therapy, and I am a licensed speech language pathologist. I have been practicing now for about 11 years, and I own and run the company full time.
And so, what was the situation in your business right up before you started working with me? What was going on? What were the challenges you were facing?
I kind of felt like I was stuck. I was at a point of where I wanted to grow, and I'd worked with other business coaches before, but still felt like it just wasn't a good fit. Like there was something missing, and I felt like there was potential to be had, but I just hadn't secured the skills that I needed to advance to the next level.
And did you have any fears or reservations before joining?
Yes, absolutely. And so, when you start a business, the biggest thing for business owners, especially small businesses, is always the finances. And especially now, we live in a time period where there's lots of people online, selling these products and services, and it can get very daunting because you don't know which that you should, contribute your money to have the biggest impact. But then there's also that reservation of, in order for me to grow, there's certain things that I have to invest in. And so it was definitely something that I said, this is an investment I have to make. But when I joined your accelerator, and I remember joining, it was so early in the morning, and I was like in the hustle and bustle of all the things. And, that was like the topics that you were talking about. And I was like, oh, wow, that's literally me right now. And so all of those aspects just resonated with me because I was literally doing the things that you were talking about. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's like she can see into my life. This is exactly what I feel like right now.
And it was a big investment for you. And I remember a couple of weeks back we were talking about it. Like it was, you know, really what, like 10, 20% of your revenue each month was going into the program. So let's talk
Yes.
about though, because you spoke about a big investment. Let's talk about what that investment has yielded for you. What are we now for almost exactly a year later? What does your business
Mhm.
look like now?
Now we are a six-figure practice, and we have grown into a team. I have hired a full-time office administrator. In addition, I have three speech language pathology assistants. I just hired on a speech language pathologist and then also a speech language pathologist clinical fellow. So we've certainly grown.
It was just you and a part-time, another part-time therapist, right? So you've gone from just you and a part-time to you and five therapists
Yes.
in a
And
year.
then yeah, and from a location because when I first met you, I was like in a very small one room suite. I had someone working remotely, kind of answering calls and things for me. And now, we've kind of tripled, quadrupled the size, and I have a 4 room office suite. So things have definitely changed from that time of me being scared to take the leap.
Yeah. And I think last time we spoke with this new therapist coming on, we were like projecting that you would have tripled, if not quadrupled, your monthly revenue in that year. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And then, with us closing out the numbers, I was just kind of like, wow. And
It's exactly right. Yeah. Yeah.
and that, wasn't even a full year of all those people being into place. So I'm very excited for the growth that I've experienced thus far, and having the tools to kind of know what to do going forward, like in terms of getting referrals and how to keep those things consistent. And then just also too, like as the business owner, learning how to work on the business and not in the business all the
Yeah.
time.
So I
So
really,
that was a big lesson.
and I really want to talk to you about that, because there would be other people who have gone from like 1.5 therapists to 6 in a year, but they are like completely overwhelmed. The business is taking over every aspect of their life. They're maybe not all that profitable, and it's really stressful. And they're like, why did I do this? What's been your experience having done that growth with the guidance of the program and me supporting you? What does it look like for you?
I think the biggest thing is the things that you taught in the course about how to, not only market the practice, but to market your clinicians. So I started putting in things that were very instrumental. So finding out the things that my therapists were very great at, and things that I could market about, like, hey, this therapist is an expert in this, and that really helped to fill a caseload, because if they are happy and enjoying what they're doing, and then the parents, especially for us, because we work with kids, like there's a lot of buy-in in that.
Yeah,
And I think having a plan in place of how to fill those therapists up, to not only like maximize your profits, but then make sure that they're seeing the clients that they would like to see and they're happy.
yeah.
So it kind of all goes in together versus like just hiring a bunch of people and then wondering like, how am I going to fill their caseloads, and
Mhm.
just putting people here but not necessarily having a routine plan of action.
Yeah. And I think one of the things I loved watching was that over time you went from being like, I have no idea how to hire anybody, to being like, I've got this. Like, I'm good at recruiting. I'm hiring good people. And that was such a joy to watch you build those skills and be really confident in it. And you've got a great team around you, right?
Yes, yes. I'm very, very thankful. And especially when it came to hiring the office administrator, that was such a huge commitment because, as a therapist, when we think about those types of roles, they don't always, bring in like an immense amount of profit. So learning to be able to make the correct hire and making sure that that person was the right fit was, the most important one. And I remember you and I having that discussion that you said this is going to be the most important hire, especially as you go through this growth stage. And I mean, honestly, that was the most important hire. And I don't know what I would have done had I not had the skills to be confident in hiring for that role.
Well, you wouldn't have hired for the role, which is what lots of people do. And so then they're trying to run a team of 6 people on their own. And that's where all this sacrifice comes in, because it's too much for one person, right? And one of the other things I'd really love you to share about, if you're happy to, is you said to me, you were telling me the story about how you and your husband were sitting there and you've been away, and you were like, well, you were away and you were like, this is the life we envisaged and we've created it. Like, how has the change in your business affected your personal life? Because there's been some really exciting things happen in your personal life because of what's been going on in the business in the last year too, right?
Yes. So many things. I mean, we've been able to do a lot of things that we just, not that we didn't travel or we didn't do anything, but doing so without stress, So now that I can actually step away from work and travel and think about that. And it was even like, getting the office, that in itself was a very big step in commitment. But taking that step has afforded me to be able to do a lot more things.
Yeah.
I mean, we literally walked this path and kind of said like the things that we wanted. And I remember having that discussion with you about where my office was at the time, but that wasn't like my ideal location. I just picked somewhere that was central at the time. And then I said, I'm going to take myself to the area that I knew I wanted to live in, I wanted to be in. And everyone around me was kind of like, why are you moving your office space? halfway across town and you don't even live over there. And it was kind of one of those things was like, not yet. I don't live there yet,
And what are
but
you closing on at the end of the month, Calonda?
a new house
Right by the office.
right by the office, literally.
Yeah. And there's been
um,
shoes and bags and dinners and
yes,
lots of fun stuff, right?
yes,
Yes.
lots of trips. And, even for our son, being able to take him for his birthday. We went on a 3-day vacation to Disney and, being able to do all of those things and not having to think about, oh man, this is stressful. Like, how are we going to do this? And just knowing, like, I worked prior to being a business owner. So those were things that were kind of like we'd have to plan for way ahead of
Yeah.
time to be able to do it. So
And save for, and it would be like, do we want to spend the money on this or this? Whereas now it's like, okay, well, we can do both. So
mhm.
the program's called Success Without Sacrifice. Do you feel like you have created in the last year success without a lot of the sacrifice that you see others having to make?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I am a predominantly woman-led field, so a lot of the business owners, that I talk to, and they're experiencing some of those same things that I was once stuck on about. I want to grow, but I don't really know how to, or else they are kind of making profits, but they're not happy with the profits. They don't have their ideal clients. Like there's so many things that are kind of holding them back from doing so. And I just think that that's such like a pivotal moment to be able to change all of that. And especially as being a mom, it's kind of like implanted in you that you have to do all the things and be crazy and not be able to run a successful business. And that was one of the main things that you taught me. Like, I can run a successful business and leave at 2 o'clock to go pick up my son and not feel bad, or, scheduling a meeting later because I have something else to do, and not feeling guilty about those things. And so that has created an all new piece for me to not be working, crazy amounts of hours and not feeling like I have to miss out on stuff. Now, if my son has something at school, like I can go and I don't have to, worry about how am I going to be able to do that. And I know I have to mention this. One of the biggest things for me was hiring a cleaning service.
Yeah.
That was something that was so stressful, and I kept saying like, "There's no way I'm going to be able to afford that." And then, when you really broke that down, and I can't tell you like how much time that has given me back. Like, so on the weekends, I'm not worried about how this is going to get done. And that was just very life changing for me. Like something like that. People are probably like, what? Getting a cleaning service, but it was something huge. Like it made a big difference for me because it was something I was spending a large amount of time trying to do.
And it's crazy how many women feel like I give them permission to do it and they're like, okay, I'm going to go do it. But they don't feel that they can go and do it until I'm like, you have to do this because it's a business decision, right? Like if you're going home and doing your cleaning and you're washing and you're ironing, you're rocking up to your business tired the next day or frazzled from trying to do the morning hustle. That doesn't serve your business. It makes you less productive. It's costing you thousands of dollars a year more than what you're going to pay for a cleaning, right? So I love that you brought that up. What would you say to somebody thinking about joining the program and who has hesitation?
I would say do it. I mean, it's obviously served me very well. I'm still using and implementing things, and I don't see myself never not doing that anymore in my business. And just so many like gems and values that you've instilled throughout the program. And often I find myself doing things and I'm like, nope, that's not how that's supposed to be done. And I know because it's things that we've talked about on our calls, and just kind of, demanding those things that are good for the business and dismissing things that are not. And I know that the investment can be a hesitation, but what I would tell people is you can't afford not to.
Yeah.
You can sit back and, try to Google until your heart's content, and try to be frazzled. And it may take you 10, 15 years to get to this level by yourself. And it's just not realistic. So if you can get there faster, but also get there sanely, I would say definitely, this is an investment that will serve you time and time again. And like I said, that fraction of the money back then, it was like, whoa, this is a lot of money. But now what I've done since then is I can't compare like where I
You
would have been.
you would have like 10 times your investment in profit alone, right? Probably this last year. Yeah.
Yes, and just even from, from when you and I first started working together and only having like a couple of different, revenues and just the things that I've been able to do now, with securing contracts and the negotiations. That was a huge thing because remember, I was kind of like, I don't know, Sean, I don't know if I can do this. And you're like, just do it, just send it. Um, so all of those things have changed so much because I was really able to see the value in what I was doing and what I was creating, and now being able to stand on that. And I know the tools that I obtained in this class definitely helped me to be where I am today.
Well, I've said to you before, I've like loved working with you, and it's been such a joy to watch you go from like a slightly unsure, slightly unconfident, but really passionate and really ambitious businesswoman. I know therapists who had a business, to the confident, assured, decisive, driven CEO that you are today. Because it that really is the change that I've watched you go through, and it's been such a joy to support you to do that.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate all of your help, your guidance, and everything. Honestly, again, if you're on the fence, don't be on the fence. If you've taken the accelerator, you already know how great it is. So see you on the other side. That's what I want to say.
Thank you, Calonda.
You're welcome.